Hello, welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia, episode 24. I'm your host, Jacob Russ, and I'm back with my co-host, Ryan Black, and we are back and we are playing with power. Ryan, how's it going, man? You have a giant grin on your face this evening. Why is that?
I finally have my Switch back.
Your Switch?
And I am loving it.
Oh, man, thank you. I was getting really sad for you there, because every time we talk, I've been talking about Zelda and what I'm doing, and here's where I'm at in the game, and you're just kind of like, yeah. It's like just stabbing a hole in your heart some more. Sorry about all that.
I was playing Zelda once. It was good times.
It was good times that are back again and better than ever. Well, good. I'm glad you got your Switch back. That's really good because you kind of need it to talk with the show because we have a very special guest, everybody, today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is no ordinary guest, okay? I mean, we've had the Nintendo Guru on the show, okay? We've had lots of guests on the show, but there are some key guests that are inspirations that started Nintendo Nostalgia when we were just little babies trying to think of the idea. And this man comes from a grand, amazing show out there for Nintendo called the Nintendo Dads. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Marty Estes.
All of that applause. I really, man, I'm flattered. Like that's probably the best introduction I've ever had in my life. Well, I'm going to be real honest with you. That's like, I'm gonna need a recording of that.
well,
I'm gonna need to download the podcast and save it. Like just I play that in the morning, like when I'm waking up, just to get pumped up and ready to go.
There you go. Yeah,
the man, the myth. It's like I felt like I was a wrestler or something. Like entrance music was going to hit, the glass was going to break, and I was going to come out and stun somebody. But that's okay. It's okay, man. I'm excited to be here tonight.
Well, I'm super stoked to have you. I know Ryan is too. I mean, really, the Nintendo Dads, I know you weren't on it from the beginning or anything, and I haven't followed them from the beginning. I actually started following them last year around like February-ish. But I remember hearing episodes when you were a guest at first, and then they announced that you were on, and I was more than thrilled. Because I thought – I love the episodes when you would come on as a guest. I loved your input. I think you had a lot to the show there. You're a great guy. You can just tell by listening to you. I love your knowledge that you bring. The only issue I had with you ever was your very first episode. You wanted to can Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
How did I know this was going to come up?
Oh, well.
You know, I'm going to tell you, like I told Justin, it's not that it's a bad game. It's just not the best game. So
I get that, but that game was still. I feel like
it was really good. It was really good, and I hope we get a Donkey Kong Country on the Switch.
I do too.
A new one. I don't want to redo from the Wii U. I want a brand new Donkey Kong Country, but I still felt that it needed to move off. Like it was kind of like. Trying to pick your favorite child because all of those games were good except for, and I can finally say this, Affordable Space Adventures. The only reason I didn't kick it off was because the guy put it on the week before. So I didn't want to be that guy who came on like the next week and was like, well, that's crap. Get it out of here. So it came down to Donkey Kong was the one that had to go because all the others needed to stay. And I don't know why, and I don't know why they let someone permaban Star Fox Zero. I wasn't privy to those details at that time. I missed that episode, so that's why that's not on there. If you listen to those, and someone enacted like a permaban on it.
I remember that episode.
Sent it packing, but I still stand by that list except for Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
I know, poor Jesse. That was like his one.
Yeah, that was his one, and it was and for all intents and purposes, it could be a really good game, but I'm never going to find out.
Right, I'm the same. It's not my cup of tea. Not at all.
I mean, this coming from a guy who's never finished a Fire Emblem game. So I mean, like I buy them and I play about halfway through, and I'm like, okay,
yeah,
I'm done. I'm done. I've got my $50 or whatever worth.
Ryan, you like Tokyo.
I just traded in my last Fire Emblem game this week.
Oh, congratulations! I'm not mad about that.
I traded in the special edition of Fire Emblem Fates. And did you know if you have that, they'll give you almost what you paid for it.
Wow!
At GameStop, they gave me $45 for it, just the cartridge.
Wow,
that's good. Everyone go trade in your Fire Emblems.
I only have one Fire Emblem, and that was the one that was given to me by the ambassador program. Like I don't own any others.
Oh yeah, is that Radiant Dawn?
Whatever was the GBA title.
Yeah, it may have been. I don't remember.
That sounds about right.
Radiant Dawn was either that one or the one that was on GameCube. Maybe I'm wrong. You just said I was knowledgeable, and yet I don't know. So it's totally fine.
Fire Emblem is just not something that's caught on for me, man. I mean,
now, am I going to play Fire Emblem Warriors? Absolutely. Because I like that. Like I don't have to spend, like 30 minutes going, all right, if I move here, what's going to happen? This guy's going to come down and all these guys are going to come down. And then like one's going to appear out of a house out of nowhere. And then if I do everything right, then these two will have a baby and it'll be powerful. And that's not why I play video games.
Right.
It's not and I'm okay with finally admitting that. That's okay.
I mean, I don't hate the Fire Emblem series. Some people might think I hate it.
No, I don't either.
I think it has a place, and I'm glad it does well for Nintendo. I want whatever does great for Nintendo to be successful, okay?
Yes.
My only issue is we just seem to get an overload of Fire Emblem now, and it's like, I don't care. I would rather have 3 new Donkey Kong Country games announced instead of the next 3 Fire Emblem games. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because
I'm much more of a gamer towards those games instead of Fire Emblem. I mean, for goodness sake, Smash Bros. Everyone's excited about this new roster we could all vote for, and then, it's another Fire Emblem character. I would have much rather had King K. Rool from Donkey Kong Country. I've been wanting him in.
It's another sword wielder.
Absolutely.
There's only 8 of them. Let's put in another one.
Mm-hmm. Right.
This one turns into a dragon. Totally fine. No, I actually like to play as Corrin, but didn't really have much interest in Fire Emblem Fates. I thought I would. Like, it's so crazy. Like, the cycle for me with Fire Emblem is, like, they'll announce it, and I'll go, oh, man, that looks really good. Like, I'm really into it, and it comes out, and I'm playing it, and I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. And then something else comes out, and I'll start playing that, and then I'll come back and I'll be like, okay, now where was I, and who is this guy, and why am I using him?
Yes.
And so and I'm probably in danger of doing that with the Switch because I've bought so many games recently. Like in the past week, I've bought 4 games.
Oh wow!
I have a problem. I bought Has Been Heroes and Snake Pass and Binding of Isaac and Lego City Undercover.
Oh, you did get Isaac. Okay.
I did, and I've got to say, I was pleasantly surprised. Really fun game. Not too cool with all the elements of it, but
understandable.
It's one of the it's a game that I can't play. I've never played it on the TV because I'm not going to do that. Because my kids could wander through it anytime, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have that conversation of, Daddy, why is there a giant turd on the screen shooting corn at you? Well, right. Son, because some guy made it in a video game. Or why is that little guy naked and crying tears that are used as bullets? I don't know. Just go play Legos or something. Go
play Lego.
So I've played it only on handheld mode, but it is so one of those, okay, I'm just going to do one more run. I'm just going to do one more run. I'm just going to oh my gosh, it's 2:30 in the morning. Kind of like Shrines with Zelda.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go find one more. Oh, well, there's 2. I see them. I got them both marked. I might as well go.
Yep.
Oh, that's 3:30 in the morning. I got to be up at 7.
Preaching to the choir. Well, I did not know we'd go into a conversation about Fire Emblem, a game I could care less about for so long. But let's go ahead and just jump into our news and topics. All right, Marty, since you are our guest today, we actually are you and Ryan have very similar topics that you bring into the show. So we're going to go ahead and combine Ryan and Marty's topics. But Marty, since you're our guest, why don't you go ahead and introduce the topic you're bringing to us at hand?
All right. So I feel like we need to have a conversation about the Switch.
Okay.
And I know that you and Ryan and others have had lots of conversations about the Switch, but we need to talk about the sturdiness of the Switch. Mm-hmm. Now, there's been the drop test and there's been this test and that test about whether the screen would break or whether it would drop, it would crack open if you dropped it on the pavement or blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But nobody really felt like it was necessary to do a test of will it bend if you leave it in the dock too long, which it's designed to do. Mm-hmm. And we're starting to see some bad effects of that. And I got to say, I'm kind of concerned. I did not feel like this was really something that was real at all. Mm-hmm. Until, I felt like it was probably like one of those iPhone gate, bend gate or whatever. Yeah. Some guy sat on it or kept it in his pocket or put it somewhere. But then I started to look around. And then this week or this weekend, it kind of hit home to the friends of Nintendo Dads when Adam from Mega Dads found out his Switch was bent. Mm. And contacted Nintendo and had to send it in for repair. So being paranoid, like I get sometimes, I decided to look at mine yesterday, and lo and behold, I think my tablet is bent. I think it's bending inward just like all of the others, or bowing out in the back. And I don't know if it's just like a trick of the light from the design of the tablet, but what I did was I literally set the edge of it down on the table, like in what would be called portrait mode. And I put a book up next to it, which I felt like had a relatively, straight spine, and pressed them together. And there was a very, very slight bend near the top.
With or without the Joy-Cons on?
Without the Joy-Cons on. It was like leaning away from the book, where I had it pressed to the back of the Switch, and it was leaning away, but only in like the last, maybe half an inch to an inch. And so, Ryan, I missed why you had to send yours in. So I don't have that data, but I want to ask this question, and I want us to, is there a reason to be concerned? Is there a reason? Is this the way they were designed? Maybe, possibly. Or is this a place where Nintendo needs to step in and say, okay, look, yeah, there's an issue, and we'll do some fixes, and we'll do, mandatory repairs for everybody that's affected. Maybe it was just a batch from the factory. Maybe it was just, maybe it was a line of production. What are your guys' thoughts? I mean, where do we go from here? Is this going to be Switchgate? Bendgate, Switch edition. I'm just trying to, obviously, I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about this week on Nintendo Dads as well. But like, is it normal for this to happen? Of course, this is not your normal device either, right?
Right.
So, did they not see this happening? Did it not happen? Does it not happen to any of Nintendo's test devices or dev devices or anything like that? Like, what really? I mean, where do we go from here? Because if they all start bending and it's going to get more and more bent, obviously, eventually, like even with Adam's case, his was parts of it were peeling open. Parts of it were like pulling. The seams were opening. So if that's an issue, then that's like Nintendo's got a huge issue on their hands, way bigger than a disconnection, Joy-Con disconnection issue.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, what are you guys' thoughts? Ryan, you've just sent yours in. How long did it take you to get yours back?
I sent it on a Saturday. It was a Saturday, like it was around the time of the first test fire that day. I started having the problem about an hour later. I took it and send it off. I'd already set up the repairs and everything. So, and it took me till today to get it. So this was a weekend.
So about a week, right?
A couple days, yeah.
Yeah, a week. So why did you send yours off again?
It was a freak battery thing. Like I plugged it into the dock, it wouldn't charge, and
oh yeah, I remember seeing that.
And it like went haywire with the screen. Like it started actually affecting the whole system itself. When I try to play a game, it would just chug and then it would just crash, and I had to start it back up again.
Did you have a good experience with Nintendo customer service?
Always, yeah. I love their customer service. They're awesome with that. I had to call them on a separate occasion before I had sent my Switch in, but after I had set up repair. And I talked to them and I asked them, like, well, what do I need to send in? You know, because it wasn't very clear. Like, do I send in the Joy-Cons too? I kind of wished I had, because if I would have sent in the left Joy-Con, in the little paper that they sent back to me, they said that they also like repaired other things that may have had issues. I was like, oh man, I should have sent my left Joy-Con in. But yeah, they said just send the Joy-Con in and maybe or send the system in and maybe a power adapter that you're using. Well, I use 3 different ones that I have access to in my house. So, and all of them had pretty much the same results. I couldn't get it to charge in the dock. I haven't tried to charge it in the dock yet. But that's something like, now I'm a little leery of putting it in the dock because, you know, the whole warping thing.
You know, I wasn't going to mention this, or it just came to my mind. I forgot, you know, I bought an extra dock from Nintendo when they were selling them on their website. And I will be the first one to tell you the dock bend is real. And the reason why is that my Switch fits differently in my living room dock and in my bedroom dock. The bedroom dock is tighter.
Okay.
And it came that way out of the box.
I also wonder if this warping that's happening, if that is, some people's systems are warped and that's why it's causing some of the scratching on the screen.
So
maybe there's some kind of correlation there.
Maybe there's a warp out of the box and we just don't realize it? Or it's occurring very quickly after, because I mean, some of those scratches showed up March 4th.
Okay.
March 5th.
Now, it could have been out of the box. It could have been something, and people are just now noticing it. I don't really know. Like, my system, when I got it back from Nintendo, like the first time I checked, it looked straight and flat, and it was fine. But that could have been something that they had, you know, fixed, remedied, or maybe it's something that hadn't happened to my system yet. I really don't know. It's still very unexplored territory, and I'd like to get more reports of people getting new Switches and kind of saying, hey, it's straight, and then after, if it bends, you know. There's still more data that needs to be collected there.
So, I mean, I guess at this point, I guess my question is, are we at a point now where someone needs to say, yes, we know there's an issue?
Well, first off, I just checked mine while you were talking about it. Mine's fine, so no issues there.
Well, good for you. No, really, good for you, for real.
Yes, I've been very fortunate. The Nintendo gods have blessed me dearly. And then watch it breaks tonight. Knock on wood. No, I mean, first off, is it the system, or is it? I mean, obviously, when it's in the dock, maybe the issue is with the dock, and it's not a recall on the systems or anything, but maybe they need to improve that fan power in the dock. Because my reasoning is, if it warps, I feel like it's warping because it's getting too hot. So it's going to. Because when you heat things up, you can bend like metal and things like that a lot easier. So I think maybe the issue is the dock is not putting up enough fan power to help to keep the Switch cooled down while it's in the dock. Because if you remember back with the Xbox, way back when, Xboxes used to they used to explode or melt.
It would overheat.
It would overheat because they didn't have fans in them. Whereas the GameCube was actually put out a lot of power. I think it might have been the most power-wise console back in the day during that period of the 3. And they had fans going off in them. And that's I remember that GameCube running and you just heard the fan just zzz, just cooling it down constantly. So I wonder if it's really not a matter of that there's actually something internally wrong with the hardware, but that maybe they just did not take into account that maybe the fan power they're giving off to keep the system cool was not strong enough. And so maybe you see future iterations of a stronger dock.
That is something that's actually built into the system, the fan itself. The dock doesn't do any cooling.
Really? I thought there was a fan in the dock.
I don't believe so. I think it's just plastic and through wires, basically.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the system itself. So the dock gives it this extra boost of power. Basically, it tells the system to overclock and run at its maximum potential. Now, that is going to run it a lot hotter. Now, would a solution be to actually have a dock that has some kind of air pass through, like a fan that actually pushes air across the dock or across the switch itself inside to cool it down on the outside? Maybe that would be a solution. I mean, it'd be an expensive thing, but
it might make their docks actually worth the price they sell them at.
That's another story altogether.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I paid $70 just for the dock.
Right.
And then I'd already paid in the great hysteria of Switch launch, when you weren't sure, even accessories were going to be coming back in stock or when, because, this could have been another NES Classic and you just gone, I had a buddy of mine convince me to buy an extra AC adapter. He's like, now you don't know, you've got a USB to USB-A cable and it's going to this. I don't know if it's going to charge the Switch. There was all that, we don't know if it's going to do it, which it did fine. But I had that. And then the docks went up for sale and I said, you know what? I might as well. I've got the cash. I'll just go ahead and buy it. And that way I can go ahead and have the one in my bedroom like I want. Instead of having to wait for the dock kit. Now, would the dock kit end up being, what is it? It's $90, right? I think is what the price that's quoted when it finally does come out. So I ended up spending $10 more and didn't get an HDMI cable. So I paid the Nintendo premium tax.
Yeah.
But I did like the other night, it was Saturday night. Everybody was asleep. I didn't want to sit up in the living room. I was like, I want to lay down in bed. I'm going to go play some Breath of the Wild. It was laying there, playing, and then it hit 2:30 in the morning. That was the bad part.
Yeah. I get you. Well, yeah. I mean, I think again, is this more of a Joy-Con issue where a large, not like a nationwide epidemic, but a large handful of people are experiencing this? Or is this is this a big deal amongst lots of people who own the Switch? Or are we just getting multiple reports, but from various people?
Well, I'm not seeing it a lot. And actually, when the first things came out about it, Zach from Nintendo Dads tweeted about, we need to call this out and call it what it is. Homeboy sat on his console, to which Adam from Megadads replied, no, look at mine, and had a picture of it from the side. And it, if you'll go back and look at that tweet, you can even see without putting a grid up to it, which they eventually did. Yes, it's bent. And that's kind of how I felt about it. I was like, Zach, homeboy sat on his Switch. It's unfortunate. Don't keep it in your pocket. Go buy a nice case, but it does not seem to be. People don't seem to be beating the drum about it as much as they were about the left Joy-Con issue. And here's the deal. Just flat honest. I have a Ben iPad.
Mm-hmm.
I have an iPad that, out of the box a couple of years ago, I got it last year, in the summer, and I carried it without a case for a while, and it warped. It got bent. I don't know if it was out of the box and I just didn't notice it. But one day I remember setting it down on my desk without the case on, and it wobbled, and it's bothered me ever since. But here's the thing. The screen's not pulling away from the aluminum casing. Nothing's wrong with it. It still runs exactly fine. So if my Switch stops where it's at and doesn't bend anymore, I'm okay with that. I'm not going to call Nintendo over what might just be a simple cosmetic defect, or maybe I bent it. I don't know. I've not dropped my Switch. I've not done anything to it, but maybe the heat did bend it. But if it keeps getting worse, then we're going to call. Especially now that I've beaten Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Jake and I were talking about this the other night, like, or via Facebook Messenger. Like, I now can safely, like, my Switch can stay at home, or I don't have to have it right by my side all the time, like in case there's a fire or something. Because here's the deal: I love Zelda and I love Nintendo, but I've got 50 hours racked up on this game, and I ain't doing it again.
Right.
I can't do it. I could not.
At least not for many years. At least not.
No,
for
I mean,
a long
like,
time.
I want to play it again eventually, but I don't want to go do what I've done for the past month, over again. That does not sound fun at all.
No, it's more depressing if you have to do that.
Well, I mean, yeah, you'd be sitting there the whole time going, well, I could be here if.
Yep.
By the way, my thing says 45 hours or more in the game.
Okay.
And it when I beat it, my percentage is 15.13.
15.13.
I was blown away. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I thought I would at least be up at like 20, 21, 22, 15% complete, and I finished the story. There's no way. There's no way I'm ever going to finish this game.
If people do have to send off their Switch, like, I can verify, like, if you're not having anything done, like, to fix the screen or anything like that, like, they'll leave your stickers on there. Like, I had the Zelda pack, and I had the Breath of the Wild stickers on the back of it, the decals, the skins.
Cool.
That's what I'm looking for. And it had the special Zelda screen protector, and I was worried those were all going to be gone. I got my system back. They hadn't messed with that. They hadn't taken it off.
Wow.
So everything was intact. So if you've got, like, one of those glass screens, like, if you're not getting any screen repair done, they'll probably keep that intact. At least that's my experience.
Okay. Well,
I wonder if it's, some people are theorizing that it could possibly be the screen protectors, the tempered glass screen protectors, not allowing heat to come through the front.
Oh, interesting.
I had seen that written somewhere, and I have one of those.
Yeah.
And I would want to know, like, I want to ask Adam from Megadads, do you have a tempered glass screen protector? Because if you do, then, like, and see, I bought one of those, like, being super afraid. Oh, I'm gonna scratch my Switch. I'm gonna,
right.
I'm gonna scratch it. I'm gonna scratch it. But I don't want one of those flimsy saran wrap kind, because I can never get those right.
Yeah.
So I what I really wanted was, like, I got one. It's like AM film or M film. They're like, two of them are like $10 on Amazon. And it's like 2-day shipping. Super easy to install. And it's been super great so far. Like, zero loss of touch sensitivity, clarity like you wouldn't believe, But I just worry about this thing over time. And I knew that I was going to worry about it over time. And I thought that I wasn't going to, be this, I guess, anal retentive about it, just kind of like uptight about it, like, oh, no, don't touch my Switch, don't bend it, don't. But, like, I also guess I thought maybe they would, be in stores in case something happened.
True.
I don't. I mean, I can't imagine trying to find one now, like, trying to track one down.
Let's be honest. I mean, it's this way with everything. When I first got my Wii U, for example, we got Christmas that year, and we had a New Year's Eve party every year. And so we were taking it. We lived in an apartment at the time. It was going over to a clubhouse, and, like, I carefully picked that that Wii U up, and I took it over there. I put it in, like, cloth. I wanted to protect it. I didn't want a scratch on my system. And now the thing is, like, scratched up by, like, every corner of it. I mean, it's not like a cat got to it, but it's not that nice new way it looked when I opened it in the box. And it's the same with your cell phone. Like, you take care of your brand new iPhone. You don't want a scratch on it, a dent in it, and then you drop it for the first time. and at that point, it's just kind of like you're mad, but it gets to the point where it just becomes more of a wear and tear, to where you're just like, I'm to the point where, like, my iPhone 7, like, I'll toss it on the couch and maybe, like, oh, I'm just going to sit it over there, I'm just, what I'm saying, I'm not babying it so much. And not that we do that with the Switch, because it's a little different. It's not as durable as a Game Boy or your 3DS. But when I got my 3DSs, I was very careful with them. until it had the first drop or the first bang. And then I'm like, you get less anal about it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because like, well, it dropped, but it works fine. Okay, you don't have to worry as much about it. After that, it's like ripping a Band-Aid off. As soon as you just rip it off, you just kind of roll with the punches with it all. So,
so the moral of the story is drop your Switch now, so you don't have to worry about it when it actually happens.
Just go ahead and scratch it, and
do it for us, Jacob, right now. Just take that thing, sling it up against the wall, just right now. I mean, just one good time.
What? I can't hear you, Marty. I don't understand what you're saying. Okay, well that's good news there, guys. That's good talk. So everybody, send your Nintendos into Switch if you have issues, or Switch is into Nintendo. The news topic I wanted to bring up was another pretty big one. Guys, you know I love Yooka-Laylee. The reviews came out today, and we have a big mixed bag of reviews. The game is getting roughly around you're seeing 6, 7, 8. No, I don't think I've seen a 6. 7, 8, or 9 out of 10 reviews is what you're seeing from a bunch of people. I guess on Metacritic, it's like maybe in the 60s or something like that. I think it's like 22-ish reviews, somewhere in there. Those are not exact numbers. Those are just a rough guesstimate. So you have people like me who are like, it looks awesome. I'm hearing good things. You're seeing the glass half full, all the positives about it. You have those people who are great. It's not what I wanted. It's not as good as I was hoping, so I'm a bit disappointed, but I'll still get it. And then you have those people like, this sucks, I'm canceling my pre-order now. So there's those 3 groups, and I can't stand that last group for sure. But guys, I guess some of the issues people are having with it, we'll talk about it, is, I guess, big issue is frame rate drops. There's a lot of frame rate drops. People hate that stuff. Not everybody, but some. There's camera issues. I guess like you'd see in 64 days, like the camera cannot actually move the right way all the time to help you see your objective. And then some people complaining about the voices, the bleep bleep bloop top that they do in the Banjo-Kazooie Yooka-Laylee style of games. So those are the issues I've seen. And I've watched some videos, and from what I've gathered, if you were looking at Yooka-Laylee like me and were hoping it to be just like Banjo-Kazooie, just to feel very similar, to sound very similar, to give you that same quirky, fun, broken fairy tale story experience, you're going to be happy. Like they said, it's all there. I mean, it matches Banjo-Kazooie very well, and yet it does its own thing. You're going to feel like this is Banjo 3E, what we should have had before Rare got bought. But if you are a big tech geek kind of person that's like, if it drops a little bit at all, I'm trashing this game, I'm trading it in. Or if it stutters a little bit, or if, there's the techie side of things. You're going to have issues with this game if that really is a big deal to you. So just, guys, I'll let you run with it. Everyone knows how I feel about this game. It's really near and dear to my heart. I've been waiting for it. But Ryan, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about what we're getting about this game?
Well, earlier today, I have been roped in by Jacob to buy this game. I don't have a choice in the matter. I have to buy this game. So, but I equally have to come up with the game for him that he has to buy later. So that'll come back to bite him, I'm sure.
Better be good.
But yes, I'm starting to stake some interest in Yooka-Laylee now. I was on the fence. I was like, I'll just borrow Jacob's copy when he's done with it. Like I did at my friend's house, with Banjo-Kazooie. I was like, oh yeah, that's no problem. I don't have to spend the money on that. But I think I'm going to be invested in it now. So this is a big issue for me. Big topic. Like if it plays like Banjo-Kazooie, it doesn't have the slower, blockier controls, I guess, of Banjo-Kazooie. I mean, they were responsive, but I felt like it was kind of a slower gameplay if they sped that up with, the times, and Yooka-Laylee actually keeps up with the pace and everything. Like even with like a couple frame rate drops here and there, like I'm okay with that. Like, I'm going to really enjoy this experience because I did play Banjo-Kazooie. Now, I had to go back later and play it all the way through on Xbox. What is it? It's not really Virtual Console, but whatever that is.
It's like Live Arcade or something.
Yeah. I played it on the Live Arcade, and I beat that, and that was a lot of fun. But I think you're going to get a lot of that same experience, and even then, like, Banjo-Kazooie wasn't a perfect game. It was not. I mean, even like take away the 64 graphics, like it wasn't there. You had the camera hang-ups like you'd expect. Like, and in like Super Mario 64, you could rationalize that. Well, that's just how I pronounce him, Lakitu. With the camera, like he just gets caught on walls and stuff. That makes sense.
Right.
But it's actually just more of a camera thing with the 3D platformer type game. I really am really, really excited to delve into this. Now, I say this coming from very little experience with Banjo-Kazooie. I never played the second one. I never played, wasn't there a Game Boy Advance one or a Game Boy one?
Yep.
I never played that one. I played Nuts and Bolts for like maybe 5 minutes before I put it down and put it away.
Wise move.
So yeah, I'm not going to have a huge amount to compare it to, but if it feels just like Banjo-Kazooie, I'm going to be happy because I did enjoy the experience that I had, especially if I can do, like, my favorite move in Banjo-Kazooie was the jump up in the air and do the ground pound with the beak.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a ground pound type thing in Yooka-Laylee, I'm happy. That's stuff that I care about.
Pretty sure there is. Go check out Game Explain. They released their review. It's like 10 minutes. Literally, it's not that long. And it basically, it's very good. It's well-rounded, and it sums up everything that it's all about. So, yeah, I mean, I don't understand what the biggest issue is with that. Like, when Playtonic came out with the game, they were talking about that they promised to bring the 3D platformer back. They promised to do a bunch of these things. What our show is all about. They're tapping into our nostalgia, and they are. I think they're doing a good job of that with the game, from what I've heard. So go check out the Game Explained video. Really, I recommend it. It's they're going to give you the pros and they're going to give you the cons, and it's basically what I said. Marty, what do you think, man?
All right. So deep, dark confession time.
Go for it. The show might be about ending. I don't know.
Have never played Banjo-Kazooie.
That is the episode. See you later, everybody.
I have never played Banjo-Tooie.
Oh, no.
I played 5 minutes of Nuts and Bolts and hated it. And
hey, that's okay.
Like, I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't have the same overflowing nostalgia for Nintendo 64 era 3D platformers that everyone else does.
Okay, hey, compare this. This is what your Mighty Number 9 was supposed to be.
And listen, I completely understand. And I hope and pray to the Lord Almighty that Yooka-Laylee is not what Mighty Number 9 eventually became.
Right.
I mean, they might as well have called it Mighty Number 2 by the time it came out. Because that's what it was. I played through it one time, made it to the end boss, couldn't beat it because it was ridiculous. Spam fest, crapathon, and I didn't even care about finishing it. I will never finish it. I'm so I'm over Mighty Number 9, and I really don't even like talking about it. But Yooka-Laylee grabbed my attention, but because I didn't do the Kickstarter, I didn't really follow it.
Okay.
So the first exposure to the game that I had was about 2 or 3 months ago when IGN released a video of them playing through part of the casino level.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to give you my first impressions. The first thing I thought was, man, this looks really fun. Number two, it looks good. The graphics are good. But I can't stand the sounds. I cannot stand it. Like, I don't need a whoop and whoop and whoop every time somebody does something.
Have you heard him talk? Actually hear him have conversation?
No, I haven't. No. Is it even worse?
You should Google Banjo-Kazooie talk. It's called Google Glip Talk, and it's really like a.
Now, okay. So look,
It's like Animalese in Animal Crossing.
So okay, now see, I can kind of I can get behind that. I can get behind like Falco or Slippy from Star Fox, just like back in the Super Nintendo, like and so I'm fine with that. But it's just the constant, like every time they jump or every time they spin around, just over and over and over and over. And it's like, and in that video, there was really no variation of it. Like Mario has, at least Nintendo thought, if you're going to jump 3 times in a row, Mario needs to make a different sound every time,
Yeah. Wahoo. Gotcha.
And so, like, I'm not slamming the game by any stretch of the imagination. I just hope that's something I can turn off when I finally do get it, because I am going to get it. I am going to play it.
I think the only way you can
like I'm hoping it's not is like lumped in with all the sound effects, so that like I turn that down and all the sound effects go away, because that would be kind of bad. But I want to say this, like, I understand that there's some very passionate people about this game, like, because it is like the spiritual successor of Banjo-Kazooie. I get it. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be, but like, I am the Switch has really exposed something about gaming to me that I think is important. And I think a lot of other people are hopping on this bandwagon, and I'm glad they are. That when did gaming become all about frame rate and 1080p?
Amen.
Like, that's all it is now. Like, everything that comes out, what's the frame rate? Nobody knows. Nobody cares. Like it's like, if it's not frame rate is 60 FPS, I'm not going to play it. Yeah, you are. Because you know what? You know how I know that? Because you're playing Zelda, and you're loving the crap out of it. And I will tell you this. There's a lot of things I don't think that we should riot about in our country today. Yeah. But if Zelda doesn't win Game of the Year, we riot.
Hey, that might be the first riot I've joined.
Burn it down. It's going to be like the Purge. The Purge Nintendo Edition. 24 hours to get in a bunker and play Zelda right now. But no, like I'm not as hype about Yooka-Laylee simply because I'm out of the loop about it. And I want it to do good. Like I love platforming games. That's my thing. Mario, Sonic, all those kind of mascot-esque games are my thing. I want this to succeed mainly because I want the Switch to succeed.
Right, right.
I think this is the type of game that deserves to be on a Nintendo system.
I agree.
It's not like when I think of PlayStation and Sony, PlayStation and Xbox, I don't think about like mascot games,
No.
Right.
Because they don't have any.
Or such a cartoonish game like that.
The closest thing to a mascot that Microsoft has is Master Chief, unless you want to go resurrect Blinks the cat from whatever corner. Don't even get us started on that.
Yeah.
But we're not even hearing a release date on Yooka-Laylee, right?
Not yet.
No, nothing yet.
And I think that's the only negative here for Switch owners is that you have a game that's coming out getting very mixed reviews, and now the clock is ticking on Playtonic to get this out there, so it's not another Watch Dogs.
Yes.
Like Watch Dogs saying we're going to do this, 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 and then it comes out and it doesn't do that, and then even worse, you get the Wii U version, which is like a 3-legged dog already. It's hobbling along, and then it doesn't do those things either. And of course it doesn't sell, but I think there's a lot of people who back this game on Nintendo because they want to play that game on a Nintendo console for the nostalgia factor of it. Yeah. So I don't think that the Kickstarter numbers are gonna do bad. I really don't. I just worry about the sale numbers. Like, I don't want whoever, like, let me ask this, because you'll know this probably. Is Playtonic releasing this on their own on the Switch, or are they doing it with some other publisher's help?
Well, Team 17 helped bring it to everything else. Now, to be honest, Playtonic was working in-house on the Wii U version. Like, they sent Team 17 to work for the Xbox and PlayStation stuff, but they were working for the Nintendo stuff themselves. And then they hit that whole bump in the road, whatever. They really switched it to Switch. And then, so I believe Playtonic is hands-on with Nintendo's development for the game.
Okay. I like just hearing that name. Like, I wasn't putting two and two together about who Team 17 is. Team 17 are the people that we can thank for Worms. Yeah, that's a big one. Like, and I don't think people really know how big that is. That was a huge. I mean, Worms. I think that kind of the thing has passed for a while. You know. Or has passed away, like the fervor, but still people still really, really like Worms.
Right.
You know, but also two games that have come out recently that are really, really indie darlings, which are Overcooked and The Escapist.
Yeah.
So there's some really good stuff there. You know, I trust them.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is that what I don't want it to be is the same old story that we get on Nintendo consoles a lot, where it's like, man, we put out a game for your console and it didn't sell well. Yep. So that was our last rodeo. You know, do the EA thing. Well, Madden, the gimped version of Madden we put out, you know, after everything else didn't sell well. So we're not doing anything else on the Wii U. I mean, the Switch.
I mean, don't get me started. I talked to a buddy today about this, and because we were talking about Yooka-Laylee and we got into the part of like other games don't. He says the other games don't sell on Nintendo because no one buys third-party games. I'm like, I'm like, no, you got it backwards. I mean, there's two sides to this coin here, and like, I feel like third parties don't put their best foot forward anymore for Nintendo. Mm-hmm. I feel like they deal with Nintendo because they're there, but I really, and maybe I'm just wrong because I'm a Nintendo fanboy, whatever, you call me what you want, but I really feel like a lot of the gaming industry would like to see Nintendo fail because they've been the kings of the hill for so many years, and recent years they've not, but they've always been around since the start of the revival of video games. They've always been around. And for a long time, they were the top dog, and they controlled the industry. They controlled what games got put out and what was popular and what was deemed good in the gaming world. And I don't know, and maybe it's just me. I just feel like, because you see like snide comments from EA laughs about putting this game on a Nintendo console, and this company would never put their game on a Nintendo console. It's like, and that's a soapbox, and I totally got off topic there. Sorry.
Well, but no, I mean, I think that's good. Like, I love the fact that the Wii U, and I will praise Nintendo for this with the Wii U, is they knew that the third parties weren't coming, and so they said, open the floodgates to the indies.
Yeah.
And I think Nintendo, like, I see gaming going in such a way where there will not be what is called a third party in the future. Like third party AAA titles, and here's why. You've got GameStop closing over 120 to 150 stores this year. Why? The main thing they said was AAA titles didn't perform. You know, people are tired and or they're tiring of Call of Duty. They're tiring of gritty, dark, overwrought, dramatic games that have a budget of $5 bazillion that you can play for 5 hours, and then all you have left is multiplayer.
Oh, and they all need day one patches, and
they all need day one patches. Well, we can't really say much with the Switch. Almost every game that I've bought has had to have a day one patch. So, I mean, even Zelda's had one in the first month.
Sure. But games back in the day, they didn't. They were done.
Yeah, but no, what I'm saying is like Nintendo's strategy is, if third parties want to come and play the game, if they want to play in our yard, we'll let them play in our yard. But right now, we're going to churn out really, really good first party titles, and we're going to continue to kick butt with indies. And what that eventually is going to do, this is just my bold prediction, is that within the next 5 to 10 years, what we will see is indie participation on PlayStation and Xbox lessen as it grows on Nintendo. And the reason for that is because they will cite, these are the people who really push us. Because like when you go to the PlayStation store and you have money and you have the opportunity to buy Horizon Zero Dawn, which is an amazing game, by the way. If you have a PlayStation, you should go pick it up. It's probably the best PlayStation game I've played since forever. Okay? Horizon Zero Dawn, it's amazing. It's like Breath of the Wild and Tomb Raider had a gorgeous baby. A glorious baby. And so you like, are you going to buy that or are you going to buy Graceful Explosion Machine? You know, are you going to, when on the other hand, you've got Nintendo and they're hyping the crap out of that game. You know, like they're saying, you know, oh, Graceful Explosion Machine, it's coming this week, you know, and they're highlighting it's up front on their coming soon, because what do? They take all of their games and they mix them together. You know, and I know PlayStation Store does this. I'm not familiar with Xbox One at all about what Xbox Live does about categorizing these games, but Nintendo has these in the mix because, like, right now on the Switch in the eShop coming soon, it's Graceful Explosion Machine, Puyo Puyo Tetris, Mario Kart. All of them are equal. You know, some just cost less. So. Yeah. You know, I see this future where indies are saying, you know, man, Nintendo has treated us so good that, you know, there's that we're gonna prefer them. I mean, the case can be made simply by Yacht Club Games. Yacht Club, basically, Nintendo should just buy them. I mean, because they've been so good. You know, Shovel Knight on Nintendo has done so well and been so good. They're like, yeah, you want Spectre of Torment first? Fine. You want an amiibo? Fine. You know, what other console has enjoyed as many exclusives as Nintendo for Shovel Knight?
What I see for the landscape of indies is, you know, they're getting better at their craft. They are like growing leaps and bounds. Like, I think eventually these indies will be our AAAs, like our awesome third parties that will replace the older ones that may not be around for too much longer. With they're getting very stale, and these new indies are coming in with new fresh ideas. And eventually, like, even maybe some indies will join up, merge, and make a bigger company, and we'll be seeing these people be the pillar makers for systems. And to have this relationship with Nintendo now is great groundwork for the future.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a huge tangent like that. Like, I just
it's all good.
The current landscape of gaming to me, like when I look at it outside of the Nintendo bubble, and I have to look at it outside the Nintendo bubble even if I don't want to sometimes.
Right.
And gaming is so depressing. Like, you know, what was the Dragon game that Xbox owners had been published or had been promised since like the one came out that just got canceled in the last like 6 to 8 months? You know, it was like Dragon.
I know what you're talking about.
Dragonstone or something like that. Like, it was this huge open world dragon riding game or whatever. Yeah. You know, we've gotten into this spot in gaming where it's like we don't have really anything to look forward to other than like every like 3 or 4 years. You know, it's like we know we're going to get the Call of Duty, we know we're going to get the Madden, we know we're going to get wrestling, we know we're going to get this and this and this. But then, like, where are the games? Games now take multiple years to make. And listen, Breath of the Wild, guilty.
Yes,
guilty,
big guilt.
But it's worth it. I mean, I get when those games finally do drop, like Horizon Zero Dawn and Breath of the Wild and Tomb Raider and some of those other, you know, massive scope set piece adventure games. Like, it's worth it when they finally come out. But like, what's there in the meantime?
Right.
Shovelware, which will continue to be a problem, and indies. Yeah. And who's winning with indies right now? Nintendo is. Nintendo sees them as vital partners in what they're doing with the Switch. Whereas I kind of have the feeling that like Sony's just kind of like, yeah, you want to put your game on PlayStation Network? Sure, whatever. That's fine. You know, you want to put Escapist on here? Cool. Because and see, here's the thing with that is you've got them kind of, I feel like kind of maybe of a blasé attitude with it, but then you've got Steam who is courting indies heavily, and you've got Nintendo who's courting indies heavily. If you want to call them Nindies, that's fine too. So like your Switch basically becomes a Steam box as well.
Yeah.
But which, by the way, here's a game that I hope comes to the Switch. And I know y'all didn't want to talk about. You probably don't even care. You probably don't even want to know.
Lay it on.
Have you guys played Death Road to Canada?
No, that sounds awesome though.
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. It's a randomly generated, random character roguelike zombie apocalypse game.
Okay.
Where you are starting out in Florida and trying to make it to Canada.
Oh wow.
And it's like equal parts Walking Dead, Oregon Trail, Spelunky, and all kinds of other stuff. Like you've got to stop and loot. You've got, and like you have little NPC characters who follow you around and they'll fight or they'll be stupid and do something dumb and you have to go back and save them or choose to leave them. Death Road to Canada. It's on iOS, but I played it first on Steam. You guys need to play it, and it needs to come to Switch. It needs to come to Switch. I want Death Road to Canada. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. And it's just the most bizarre game because, like, it's the zombie apocalypse and people are dying and there's blood and guts all over the floor. And it has, like, this little cheery 8-bit soundtrack behind it, like, and the zombies are coming. And it's
That's
great.
Silly. That's silly.
It is fantastic.
Well, since we're casting our vote on Steam games that we want to see come to the Switch, I'm even thinking about like starting like a GoFundMe or something, like raising money to get a dev kit. I'm sure they can handle it on their own, but just send a dev kit to Candelabra Games and to have them bring their Sentinels of the Multiverse, the card game, the video game, to the Switch. Like I'm a huge Sentinels of the Multiverse fan, and I'd love to see that play on the Switch, especially with the touchscreen and everything.
That or Hearthstone, which thankfully Blizzard is now saying,
yeah.
And look, man, Ryan, you're speaking my language because you started talking about board games. And
Ryan's a big board game.
FreeCon this weekend.
Okay, well, listen, we need to quit and get off this before we become like the board game nostalgia podcast. I can talk just as long about board games.
Well, maybe you two can have your own board game podcast.
That would be awesome. I would actually like that.
There we go.
One more night of recording a week. What else?
Okay, well, so to wrap it all back up, we'll pull it back in here. My thoughts on indie. I really feel like indie games make me feel like the way it used to be back in the 90s with all the other games that we get. Pulling it back to ukulele now. Ukulele, ultimately, like I said, I think if you're looking for a Banjo-Kazooie style game, I think it hits all the knots on that, and Ryan said it best. We were talking about this last week. Guys, we had games in the GameCube era, in the Wii era, in the 64 era that had terrible frame rate issues, but yet we loved them. They were the best-selling games of the time. The frame rate does not make the game, okay? Is the story good? Are you having fun with the game? Like, that should be what matters, Are you having fun with people, not these frame rate issues and just these silly little technical things. Like, if your game crashes, okay, that's one thing, but don't let these little nitpicky things take you down. And my recommendation is try to ignore the reviews. Try your best. Don't let an outside source, besides me, reflect what your opinion is in this game. Go into this game with a clear mind and you judge it for what you think, because there are so many people that don't even pick up a game because it got a 7 out of 10. Oh, the world is ending. But you know what? To you, that game could be a 10 out of 10, and you are throwing away an amazing experience you could have. And Playtonic has worked very hard for this game for us to just walk away because it didn't get a 10 out of 10. So, there are some people that would give Breath of the Wild not a 10 out of 10. Would that stop you from getting it if they wrote one of the big reviews? So, that's just my thoughts. And Marty, I was born in 1990. So the reason 3D platformers mean so much to me is because how old's your son?
He is going to be 10 on Sunday.
He's going to be 10 on Sunday. So he basically was my age. I was his age around this time. Banjo-Tooie came out in 2000. So when Banjo-Kazooie came out, it was like 1997. So, right. I mean, I'm like 7, 8, 9, 10 in that area range.
I get it, man. Listen, I'm 10 years ahead of you. And so 4 or 5 years old, the NES is rolling out. I didn't get it till I was 8 years old. Mario Brothers blew my mind.
Yeah.
You know, so my nostalgia is the SNES and NES era, you know.
Right.
It kind of makes me feel weird to know that people consider PlayStation 2 games and N64 games nostalgia now. It kind of makes me a little sick to my stomach. I'm like, no, young Padawans. Let me show you the way.
Hey, my daughter is 6.5 months old, and the Switch is her first system. And it's going to be so weird for me when I'm sitting in your chair down the road and she's a guest on the show or help me host, who knows, whatever. And she's talking about how the Switch was her first system, and she remembers that when it first came out, you know, and like, dude, that was like my 7th Nintendo system, 12th Nintendo system. That'd be nuts. So, guys, we talked a lot, you know, but these are some big topics that we wanted to cover. And I know we are trying so hard to try and get on topic here, but guys, Marty's on because he is a pro at this game. This is going to be a longer episode. Maybe I'm looking at an hour and a half, hour 40 here, but
it's nothing for a Nintendo, Dad.
Nothing for a Nintendo.
No. We, you know, if we're under 2 hours, something's wrong. Somebody got sick or had to go to the hospital or bathroom.
Yes. Oh, yes. They've had 3 hour longer episodes before. So, guys, with
so much to talk about.
Oh, there is. And when you're talking, just having conversation, I think those are the best shows, honestly. So, guys, give it up for Super Mario Bros. 2. This game was released on October 9th, 1988, 2 years before I was born. I was born on October 22nd, 1990, Marty. So
wow.
I was born into Super Mario Brothers 3. So that's really more of my biggest nostalgic memories from Mario there. Actually, I want to go with Ryan. Ryan, what's your first experiences with Mario Bros. 2?
I don't remember how I acquired the game, but my first memories were playing it on my Grandma Black's NES. For some reason, my biggest memories of the NES were with my mom's side of the family, grandparents. But with this game, this game really, really shines in my memory being on my dad's side of the family, grandparents. Like, I would play this game, I think that's pretty much, it was this game, it was Low G-Man, and it was the Street Fighter 2010. Those 3 games I played all the time. And so that was my first real experience with the game. Of course, I didn't quite get everything. It took me forever to figure out you could pick up the egg to throw it at Birdo. Those things didn't, it took a long time, but I did. And even figuring out the different characters did different things, I'd never figured that out. I just I always pick Mario because Mario's who I played in Super Mario, the first one. So why would you pick anyone else?
That's a good point. My first experiences with it, I never owned this game back in the day. It's another one of them games I never owned, but I did play it. So it's not like Mega Man 2 where I hadn't played the game really. But
what?
I know that stings you, Marty. Hey, we're even here. Banjo-Kazooie now.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. 2 classics that are unplayed.
We need to trade that off, and I'll play Mega Man 2, and you can play Banjo-Kazooie, okay?
Find me a way to play it, and I will, man.
I got a 64 and the cartridge.
I've been hoping that eventually those will make their way back, but I know that that's probably never going to happen.
Never say never. I never thought Xbox would actually own Rare, so you never know. But back to what I was saying, first time I ever experienced Mario Bros. 2 was we went to a friend's house of my dad's at the time. We were visiting there, just like I think on a Friday night. I was a little kid, and he had an older daughter. He had a daughter, my dad's friend, and they had a Nintendo. And so we just went over there for dinner. She wasn't even home. I was looking through their games, being the Nintendo addict I was as such a wee little boy. And then I was like, can I borrow this game? Because it was Mario Bros. 2. Because we only had Mario Bros. 1 / with the Duck Hunt combo. And we had Mario Bros. 3. But I never played Mario Bros. 2. But I loved Super Mario. So I was like, can I borrow this game? And he was like, sure, I don't care. And then I borrowed it, and I think we had it for a good long while because I got pretty deep into the game. I never beat it, but I got pretty deep into it. And like later on, his daughter comes around looking for that game because she's like, "Yeah, this was my friend's game that I was borrowing, and my dad let you borrow someone else's game." So that's kind of my experience with the game there. I don't. So I didn't mean to like steal our game or anything, but that's my experiences with it. Marty, what about you? Now I know this is one of your bread and butter games. You're here. So have at it, man.
Here's the crazy thing. I didn't realize until about a year ago or sooner that this was really one of my bread and butter games. It's always kind of been an outlier for a lot of people in the Mario universe, I think, because it is so different. It doesn't share a lot of that core Mario gameplay, but I will never forget playing this game for the first time. It was a rental from a local video store that actually the owner was friends with my dad. And so one of the crazy cool stories I have about that is not related to Mario Brothers 2, but it's actually related to they would buy, it was during the height of the video game craze, like ending SNES or ending NES going into SNES. People just wanted more and more and more. All the way through Super Nintendo, it was doing huge numbers. They were renting games left and right, getting multiple copies, all kinds of stuff. And so a lot of times he would just order games based off of, well, that name looks cool, because he didn't know anything about it. So he orders Earthbound. And he would always call me and be like, I've got new games in, or tell my dad, I've got new games in. You want to rent them before anybody else? And I was like, well, yeah, dude. So he had these like weird racks where he would keep the game boxes and VHS tape boxes, that they came in. So people could see, the front and back and read about the movie or read about the game. Earthbound wouldn't fit in any of those. And so he had this dilemma, he wanted to rent this game out. He'd spent money on it. And so after having it for about a week, I'd rented it. I brought it back and it was in the box, had the player's guide, all that stuff. He's like, so I'll sell that to you for $35. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. Little did I know what I had at the time, now it would be like, oh my gosh, freaking Earthbound for $35 complete, wow. But I held on to that for a long time. I don't have it anymore, unfortunately, but that was my exposure to Earthbound. But yeah, that video store was my exposure to Super Mario Brothers 2. I didn't even know it existed. Walked in one day, saw it, rented it, went home. And the first thing I have two very distinct memories from the first playthrough or first time playing Super Mario Brothers 2. Number one, I'm stomping on this thing. Why won't it die? And oh my gosh, I made it to the bird thing. Am I supposed to ride the egg? Yeah, let's ride the egg. Let's ride it all the way back past the vine. So I'd ride it and be like, well, that was fun, I guess. But what am I supposed to do? I literally played through the first level the first couple of times, not knowing how to pick up vegetables.
Really? Wow.
And just I'm stomping on these enemies and it won't work. And I didn't think anything about pressing B or anything like that. So I get to the end, and finally, just on the off chance, I'm just like jamming buttons, and I jump on top of the egg for some reason and pick it up. And I was like, whoa, what just happened? Why did I pick that up? And so that
light bulb.
Because here's the thing: in those days, the games didn't hold your hand like they do a lot now. Like press X to do this, or here's a tutorial level. So Video Vision didn't rent games with instruction books. So there's nothing in the documentation in the game of Mario Brothers 2 that tells you, hey, stand on top of this and pick it up.
Right.
So all the grass and all that stuff, I just thought that was scenery.
Okay.
I just thought, hey, I got to get through it somehow. I can collect these cherries and I can get a Starman, and that's how you beat enemies. So I get to the end of that first level. I'm like, what the crap do I do here?
Yeah.
Why I can't go? Why is there a bird on the wall? Where are all these enemies? I also remember that this is the game as a 8-year-old boy, 9-year-old boy that made me hate church. Because I would get up in the mornings and I would play Super Mario Brothers 2, or I would play video games, and often it was a Mario game or something quick. It had to be something quick because we were getting ready to go to church. I had to sit there, and so I'm sitting in my chair, in my room playing in my little tie and dress shirt and pants, all uncomfortable because I hate dress clothes. And I just remember going, God, I want to play. Why am I having to leave? I made it to World 3 for the first time. I hate church. Stupid. And, which is ironic considering the fact that I've now gone on to be a youth pastor.
Yeah.
So I also remember, and this is maybe a little too much. This is all to me, these are all first impressions because my love for the game didn't really happen until later on.
Right.
It was a fun game. It was a frustrating game. It was a weirdo, oddball Mario title. But I do remember carrying the instruction booklet back and forth to school with me to first and second grade. Or let's see, when would I have been there? Let's see. I guess it would have been third grade. Yeah, carrying it back and forth to third grade and trying to draw the characters.
Yeah.
In my free time, tracing them out on a piece of paper or stuff like that. Because I was that kid who is obsessed with Minecraft nowadays.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with Nintendo back then.
Yeah.
It's everything I thought about. So I love this game. And I love that it's weird, and I love that it owns its weirdness. So, anything we want to dive into about that tonight, I am ready to go.
Absolutely. Well, like you said, you ran past everything in the first level. You thought it was scenery, but I mean, this game was not the Mario Bros. 2 that Japan got. This was a completely overhaul, a whole different formula from what we were used to in America at the time. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you were to take this and put it up to, and you can take it and put it up to the original Super Mario Brothers, it is the textbook case of taking a formula and completely throwing it out the window.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that, because it's not a Mario game, but it was much more Nintendo of Japan and Nintendo of America collaboratively both thought that it would be a little more palatable to American audiences if they took this game and made it a Mario game than to bring over the incredibly difficult Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah.
Which Japan got, that we fortunately got years later on Super Mario All-Stars. And eventually a virtual console release of the original Mario 2.
Did you know that, side note, that Miyamoto didn't even want to make Mario Bros. 2, the one that Japan got?
Really?
He made it because he was basically forced into it. He wanted to do different things. But because Mario was so big, he was forced into it. And because he was forced into it, he purposely made the game hard. He put poison mushrooms in it, and he made it to where you would do all these obstacles, get to these maybe you're hitting invisible blocks to get up to this high top point. It's insanely hard, and you hit it, and it's a poison mushroom. Like he purposely did things out of spite because he didn't want to make that game. He wanted to do different things.
I love how like all of Miyamoto's games, especially like during the NES era when Nintendo was first getting its feet under it and everything, they are all about like his childhood experiences and his fears and his feelings and his, like it just shines through, like his personality, his character comes through so much in those games. Like it blows my mind, looking back at it, like I didn't know that, but like hearing it, I go, yeah, that's Miyamoto. That's totally something he would do. Like I love that story from Mario 3 where he talks about coming up with the chain chomp because of that traumatic childhood experience he had with the dog on the chain. And like creativity from everywhere, man. He's give credit where credit's due that he's pulled all of these things in and made just some awesome stuff happen over the years.
When you say like Miyamoto was like feeling like kind of like scared of like a dog on a chain, like this Super Mario Brothers 2 actually had some elements in there that scared me, and like not many video games did. Like with Jacob, like with the sound, like you hated dying in Super Mario Brothers 3, like, but Super Mario Brothers 2 for me, like the first thing that really scared me was those key guardians. I don't know what their names are.
Oh yeah, they're freaky.
Yeah, you pick up, and those things terrified me. Like I hated picking up the key. I hated picking up the key because of that whole thing, and like that was a terrifying thing for me.
Like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
The first time I figured out, and I remember this, the first time I figured out Birdo and throwing the eggs at Birdo and defeated him. Like, okay, I beat him. Now what do I do? So I see the bird. And I'm like, I'm scared to go near this thing because I just fought like Birdo, and I don't want to see what this bird's gonna come out like. This giant bird attacking me. I'm not ready to face this. And so like eventually I slowly like started inching closer to it, and like it opens its mouth, and I'm like, oh no, like, and then it swallows me. I'm like, did I just die? Like, what just happened? Right. Like I was really scared of that part. I didn't know what was going on.
It's not your traditional pipe. It was very foreign and very different. It's almost something you feel like in a Mario Land style game, because the land games are actually drastically different than what you get on a home console Mario World style game. Mm-hmm. So I can see why that's scary and different for you.
I completely agree. Like the even like that music. That do 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 do. It gets creepy, sometimes. Like, but I love that. Like, I know these characters were not created for the Mario universe in any way, shape, or form, but I just love how it still flows together.
Yeah,
the Mario universe is so big and so flexible and so. I hate to say out there or trippy. It's not really that. It's just so whimsical, I guess is a good word for it. That like, yeah, it makes total sense that Mario is experiencing rats throwing bombs in his dream and a giant frog who eats people's dreams and, like is afraid of vegetables. Like that totally makes sense. That Mario would have a dream and his best friends were on the adventure with him, and they all could do what he couldn't do, and like in the long run it totally makes sense. But the cool thing about this is that Nintendo really took what was basically a marketing publicity stunt in Japan, this game, which may have eventually just faded off into history, as nothing. They took it and they made it an integral part of the NES's history and an integral part of Mario's history because they just simply chose to take a chance. I can't imagine the Mario world without Super Mario Brothers 2. And the reason for that is there would be no Shy Guys. There would be no Birdo. There would be no Sniffits. There would be no Ninjas, which are at least for Pokey. which is now a very well-known enemy. A lot of enemies from Super Mario Brothers 2, Bob-omb, okay?
Yeah.
Like 5 or 6 enemies that now we just take for granted. Oh, yeah, that's Mario. No, they first showed up in Mario 2.
Right.
Now, granted, we didn't keep everything, and I kind of take a little bit of issue with that. And we can talk about that a little bit later. But, you got to give the game credit for what it did at the time, where it took just a left to right, one-dimensional, almost 2D platformer, and expanded it into this now vertical world as well, and multiple arena type thing, like shifting back and forth between inside and outside, and all kinds of things like that. I mean, it worked, and thank God it did.
Yeah.
I remember so many people playing this game. And I think now, people look at it and they're like, they either love it or they hate it.
Yeah.
So, but I would love to see Nintendo do something with this again. I really would. I was so encouraged by the Super Mario Odyssey video where you see Mario carrying the big turnip around. It's happening. But time will tell. Time will tell if it's really going to or not.
Well, that's my next question: is there a place for this game to come back? And I think you've clearly shown why there is. I mean, it's an all dream, so technically it never happened.
Right.
But I've thought, and I've even talked a little bit with you on social media about this a while back. What if they took it as story wise, if we could write the story for it? I mean, they could take it to reference the events, the dream of Mario Bros. 2. And what if it was all foreshadowing for the future? What if it really was all a warning of what's to come? I mean, and they took that, and it would be nice to see a villain in a mainline Mario game. I'm not talking just a 2D game that they make while they're making the real Mario game. How we have Mario Odyssey. What if the game after Mario Odyssey, the next 3D World sandbox game, is based off of the events of this game, but actually happening, and Wart's the villain, and you're in a completely different world? I think it could. Not that I want them to get away from the Mushroom Kingdom per se, but I think it really could allow them to do different things that maybe they couldn't do within the Mushroom Kingdom universe.
I've always thought that the 3DS role-playing games, Mario and Luigi series, would be a perfect place to tackle this.
Yeah.
Because and I really thought that was where they were going to go when they went to Mario and Luigi Dream Team. They wasted a golden opportunity there on that game that they could have had instead of having Dreamy Bowser and Dreamy this, the character there could have been Wart.
Right.
Who is somehow Bowser has a dream, and in the dream, Wart speaks to him from the dream and says, let's work together to take over the Mushroom Kingdom. So Bowser unleashes his power, and Mario has to go into his nightmares to fight Wart and Mouser and Tri-Clyde and all these guys to restore the Mushroom Kingdom to what it is. And I would still love for you to make that, Nintendo, if you ever hear this. Oh my gosh, it's like my dream Mario game. I like when you say that about, is there a place for this? I honestly feel like it's in the Mario Land or the Super Mario 3D World type universe. If we want to split Odyssey off into its own thing, like sandbox games, if we want to put it in the same continuity, if you will, as Mario 64 and Sunshine, and we want to go that direction with it, that's fine. Now let's go in another direction and let's remake Super Mario Brothers 2 as a 3D game.
There you go.
And you make it, you just recreate the levels, you make it 3D, you do it like Super Mario 3D World, you slap a $50 price tag on it and roll it out there. I would buy it.
Well, you absolutely could. With the return of the 4 players, that honestly was the first time they did that for 3D World. And if you want to continue that realm, I think that's perfect, Marty.
I honestly am not certain that we won't see another Super Mario 3D World at E3 this year. Like, could it be that we possibly could get 2 Mario games at once? Now, I'm not saying at once, but close to each other, because didn't Mario 3D World sell pretty good?
Yeah,
I mean, I
think it really well.
It was probably one of the most gorgeous games on the Wii U. Absolutely, the amount of love and care put into that game was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I would love to see that again. I would love, and another way they could do it is, they've done Kirby's Epic Yarn. They've done Yoshi's Woolly World. I'd like to see a Yarn Mario.
That would be interesting.
I'd like to see, in fact, I'd just love them to do all their franchises like that. Just to be honest, I'd like to see Yarn Link.
Next Metroid.
Samus's Epic Yarn. We're calling it right here.
That's the big Metroid game.
Oh, that would be worse than Federation Force. Oh, there would be.
With Zelda, like we did sort of get that with Nintendo Land. Like he was kind of plush, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was, and kind of, in a way, we kind of got that a little bit with Link Between Worlds with the flatten, painting Link on the wall, walking around. In fact, I'd love to see them go back and explore that a little bit more too. I love it when they play with concepts like Super Mario. What was it? I'm sorry, the name just. Paper Mario, Super Paper Mario, 2D to 3D, back and forth. I love it when they play with those concepts, and nobody does it as good as Nintendo.
They're the best at it.
And that's why that you can take a game like Zelda, where it's been super formulaic, point A to point B for a while, and make an open world game like Breath of the Wild that blows people away, but still call it Zelda, right?
Absolutely.
And you can have Mario game where in one game you're stomping on heads and shooting fireballs, and then the next one there's absolutely no fireballs, and you're picking up vegetables out of the ground and beating people over the head with them. Yeah. And yet it works because it all fits into these universes that they've created. Right. So yeah, like I said this before. I don't really remember where I fell in love with this game so much, other than the fact that like Mario 2 and Mario 3 and even Mario 1, like over the last 10 years, have kind of become like comfort food gaming to me.
Okay.
That like when I've had a bad day or when I just want to turn my brain off because I can. When we did Super Mario Brothers 2 on Nintendo Dads and we did our retro rewind for that show, I believe I had it on the NES Classic at the time. Maybe not. Maybe I played it on the Wii U. I think I finished that game in 35 minutes. So like, it's not something that I really have to think about per se, but I do think like it's one of those things I can sit down and play, and it's like a warm blanket, or it's like the comfy spot I've worn out on the couch, and I can play it and I can go, oh man, this is home, and Mario 2, like just one day I just kind of realized that's what that's the feeling I get from that. And maybe it's just that like that was one of my most formative memories of surrounding the NES. Like getting it in getting it in 1988 for Christmas, and then realizing there was another Mario out immediately.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I can get another Mario, and then like that's 2 years later had Mario 3 come out, which felt like the longest wait ever. Yeah. Because Nintendo Power hyped the crap out of that game. And it was like, it'd been out in Japan for 2 years and then came out here.
Real quick, how would you, if you would rank the players, the 4 that you could select from, how would you rank them? Like what maybe if something you've played most, not necessarily your favorite, but who got the most use when you played through this game? Like you played through it many, many times. Like
it's changed.
Okay.
It's changed. As a kid, it was the princess because of the ability to the float ability. The ability to hang on just a little bit longer, or maybe jump farther than I thought I could. In fact, I remember this stage where earlier I had alluded to, fighting Birdo and not knowing what to do and riding the egg across. There is literally a stage in this game where that's what you have to do.
Yes.
You can't fight Birdo. And I'll remember like going to that stage for the first time and like literally the first thing I do was, well, there's got to be land over there somehow. I'll jump over with the princess. And no, there's no way you can make it over there. As an adult, I waffle between Mario and Toad. Okay. And the reason for that is, of course, being just a little bit more sure in my game playing abilities. Mario makes a good all-around pick, but Toad, you just cannot beat the fact that he can pick things up so much faster than anyone, and that really helps you a lot. Especially like in some of the fights, like a lot of the ones where you have to, the boss fights where it's I've got to pick this up to damage them. Yeah. It's like a lot of the later Birdo stage boss fights. Birdo just shoots fire, so you have to use the mushroom retainers there to hit them. So Toad can kind of win out on those. So I find myself playing Toad a lot. Luigi has always been the lost character. Okay. Like I'll play him a few times just to say I played him, and then it's like, well, all right, go back over there.
For me, it was definitely like Luigi's my top. Like I love his super jump. Like, in fact, that's how I just discovered this magic carpet to ride it all the way out to this secret place. And I found a couple of rocket ships that took me to warps and like just a bunch of things I chained together. That's how I eventually beat the game, was using Luigi primarily. I think next would be Peach with the floating. I feel like she was necessary in a couple levels, definitely, but like Mario is my next one. Like I don't touch Toad at all. Like I was never really comfortable with his style. I felt like he jumped short. Like he wasn't very. Yeah,
he's a little he's a little too quick. He's a little too jumpy.
It may be the timing that's a thing for me. Like I never quite got in the rhythm with him, so I kind of avoided him. But yeah, that's kind of where I lined up with those. Now, when did you beat this game much later, or did you beat it as a kid?
I beat it as a kid.
Okay.
I don't think it was anywhere near, when I first got it. But I do remember in those like double digit, not yet teen, but still a kid years beating it, spurred on by a friend of mine who kept insisting that, he had seen Wart, I got to Wart last night. And I was like, well, if you can get to Wart, then I got to do it. So, learning the warps was key. That helped a lot. I do remember the first attempt that I made on World 7. I got to the area where you're just up in the clouds and all the sparks are around,
Yeah.
And you've got to pile up mushroom retainers to be able to jump high enough. Mm-hmm. So I was the princess because I was in unsure territory, and I thought, well, this will help me. And so I got to this point where I threw a mushroom retainer at a spark that was on the side of a it was on the side of a ladder. Okay. And when I did, the game glitched out and the mushroom retainer went into the ladder at just the right height that even a supercharged jump would not send her up there.
Oh.
So there was no enemies to die from. There's no time limit.
Oh.
So instead of being able to die and just being able to start back at the beginning of the level, I had to hit reset. And I was so I was broken over that.
Wow.
Hey, we talked about, new games being kind of booty sometimes. Old games can glitch too. Old games can glitch too. And that was one of those. One of those unfortunate times. But I put it down for a little bit after that, I remember. But I got spurred on and eventually beat it. Now it's not even a thing. Like if you wanted me to do it right now, I could do it for you. But like that as a kid, I felt like this is a major accomplishment, and I remember that, that realization, Mario's dreaming. What? Yeah. So, there are a few other games that I have very fond memories of as a kid, but none that I can remember. Like, very few, like even get to this level of this game, and I don't know why. Like, it's a weird. Maybe I need to be psychoanalyzed or something about why I think this is this one. Living
the dream.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think it's been a long one today, and I loved having you on, Marty. I love your insight on everything. But
I really appreciate you having me. I love being on too.
Oh, well, and you know what? I know Mega Man's your favorite guy, and last week we had Tom. He loves Mega Man. We're going to have to get you on with Tom, and we're going to have to talk some more Mega Man down the road here.
If you want another, 3-hour episode, sure. That'd be great.
I will make sure there's no topics or anything before. We're just going to jump right in. So, but Marty, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, and tell everybody where they can also find this game if they want to go pick it up.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's start with the game. You can find Super Mario Brothers 2 a number of ways. If you want to play the original retro console, you can go find those. Mario 2 is not an expensive game as far as most retro games go. So you can pick up one of those, either just an NES or one of the knockoff, plays multiple games and consoles. Or you can, if you happen to ride a magic unicorn across multiple rainbows, you can also find the NES Classic version of it, which I would say, because of the HDMI output and everything, is probably the definitive version right now. It's also available on the Wii U and 3DS virtual consoles as well, and it's pretty cheap. I think it's $5.99, maybe $6, maybe $4.99, somewhere in that $5 range. So you can pick it up there. If it were me, and just knowing my gaming environment, just depending on how you play too, I would probably pick it up on the 3DS. But mainly that's because the Wii U emulation is not great. A lot of times it comes out a little dark on NES games especially. But you can find me on Twitter at Marty Estes, or you can find our podcast at I almost said Reactor Radio, which is my old podcast I used to be on before Nintendo Dads, at Nintendo Dads. And we record every Wednesday night and have the episode up on Thursdays. And you can also find us. We're on YouTube. We're starting to do a lot more streaming there. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitch. We're on everywhere, pretty much. We are really trying to ramp up and kind of keep our social media presence going. Can I plug a new thing that we're doing?
Yeah.
So really cool new thing. Justin Masson from our show is having to move to Ireland for a couple of years due to some work-related stuff. And he's going to be off the show for a while, except for the fact that he's going to be doing weekly YouTube questions called Justin Asks. And this week's question is, do you sell your old Nintendo systems?
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool. Last week it was why he thought, or just the question, is the 3DS better than the Switch due to Street Pass? So it's kind of, a question to get everybody thinking. We want to get your responses over on the YouTube. You can leave them there in the comments, and we'll actually read those out during the show and talk about those a little bit. It's kind of a way of just keeping Justin with us while he and his family transition over to where they're going and what they're doing. But I'm actually going to start streaming here pretty soon. I did a test of Snake Pass this past weekend, trying to get some system issues worked out with my streaming software and everything. But I think either Lego City Undercover or Binding of Isaac will be the next thing that I do as far as streaming, which I'm not good at Isaac at all, but it'll at least be fun if you want to come watch. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Marty, thank you again so much. Ryan, can you just go ahead and tell everybody where they can find us?
You can listen to us on SoundCloud and iTunes. You can join us on Facebook. We're always doing great conversations there, posting news articles, letting you know when the latest episode's up. We also have a Nintendo Nostalgia chat. If you want to join us in, it's pinned to the top of our Nintendo Nostalgia page, and you can join us on there. If you want, you can check us out on our Twitter at Nintendo_NN. NOS. That's at Nintendo_NOS. And you want to send us an email, send us an email at NintendoNostalgiaIN@gmail.com.
Awesome. And everybody, guess what? I'm back on Twitter. I have been off Twitter for a very, very long time. So if you want to follow me, just come find me at NOSJacob73 if you want to follow me, whatever. I tweet some stuff every now and then. But guys, again, I just cannot stress it how much, Marty, it really means a lot that you're on the show. And I loved having you on, your input, and we're going to have you back on. I mean, it's
absolutely. Anytime you want me to come around and stretch an episode out, I'll do it.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we won't keep you anymore. We know it's been a longer episode, but we thank you all for listening. Thank you. It's a really special episode. You don't want to miss this one. So spread the word and keep trying to write reviews on our iTunes and give us a 5-star if you don't mind. So thank you guys, and we will catch you all next week.
See you later.
Bye, guys.